Kenyan team against Senegal tonight as we await to see whether we are going to, of course, qualify for the round of 16. In studio today to help me obviously deliberate or delve into the analysis of these matches is none other but than former Kenyan international Simeon Mulama. He's no new face to most of our viewers, and obviously now we have Greg Mulemi, a sports analyst, a football analyst mostly. So let's get down to talking about football matters, and before we get into today's matches, I want us to maybe talk about yesterday's matches, and the first point of discussion being Nigeria being stunned by a Madagascar squad that is rated in the 108th position in the world by FIFA. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Very interesting result, but very encouraging as well to any team that is viewed as an underdog in African football. Very encouraging that you can always get a good result against the big boys in African football. So very interesting. I was looking at their road to AFCON, Madagascar, and actually they had a good record. They beat Mozambique, they beat Senegal, before losing to Senegal away from home. But that's a good result, and it's very good preparation before coming to AFCON. So kudos to Madagascar.
Anything to add on that, Mulemi?
I think Nigeria, their approach towards the Madagascar game was not really positive, in that they rested so many key players, and they thought that they were going to find that road easy. Only shock to them to realize that Madagascar were better prepared for the match, and really wanted to top the group. And I think that's the best thing that could have come out of the match. Nigeria tried rallying, but then things could not just work out. And I think it's a lesson to other countries who think that these debutants or something, these are teams that don't have anything to offer. Yeah. But something positive about that is that in the build-up, I think Kenya played Madagascar. Many people are questioning why Harambee Stars is playing Madagascar. Now they can see why such friendlies were really important. Look at DR Congo also. These are friendlies that really made Kenya realize that going to the AFCON, there's nobody who is weak or something, and Madagascar have shown the way. Yeah.
Now, for most of you who missed last night's matches, of course, we had 2 matches being played at 7 p.m. and the other 2 matches were being played, 4 matches rather, were being played at 10 p.m. For those who missed that, in Group A, Egypt won their match against Uganda 2-0, meaning Egypt top Group A on 9 points. Uganda, despite the loss, is still second on 4 points. DR Congo, with one of the best performances last night. We're going to be talking about that in a few. Of course, they beat Zimbabwe 4-0. Nobody saw that coming, obviously. And that means Zimbabwe position 4 with a single point, meaning they're out of the tournament, making them the second team after Burundi to be eliminated from the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. Now, let's talk about Zimbabwe and DR Congo, because here you have a team who has performed dismally in the first 2 matches. I'm talking about DR Congo. Even with all that quality in the squad, you have Bulingi, you have Bakambu, you have Mulumbu, you name them. But they performed dismally in the first 2 matches. But yesterday, coming up against the Zimbabwe side that, well, most of us actually were expecting Zimbabwe to beat DR Congo and stand a chance to, qualify for the round of 16. I myself actually predicted that DR Congo would win 3-0 and, well, obviously Zimbabwe would win 3-0. That did not go to plan. What went wrong for you for Zimbabwe coming up against DR Congo?
I think Zimbabwe, first of all, their goalkeeping department was shaken a bit. Their top keeper got injured in the first match, and then yesterday, the keeper was supposed to start, suffered an injury in warm-up, so they put in a debutant, a young boy who plays in South Africa. He had some butterflies in the match, and you could see he couldn't hold on the ball, and he gifted DR Congo 2 easy goals. But then you look at the circumstances. I think this was a grudge match between DR Congo and Zimbabwe. They played together in the group stages. Zimbabwe beat them in Kinshasa. So there was a revenge mission coming into this match. And as you know, DR Congo, even Mulama can confess, there are teams that like doing it the hard way, in that they take the first few matches easy, and then they want to really work hard in their last attempt. And I think that is what happened yesterday. And you could see the inclusion of Yusuf Mulumbu in that team yesterday brought in a new spark of life. There was Chancel Bemba. That midfield worked out very, very well. And I think that's where Zimbabwe were beaten. And Zimbabwe lost it against Uganda. They had a chance to win that match. So when they failed to take their chances, and I can single out Knowledge Musona as one of the players who really is to blame for that poor performance that Zimbabwe have put in the AFCON. Being a captain, I think he should have led by example. But I think it's that excitement that they had going into that tournament that made them really exit that early.
Okay. And maybe anything to add on that in regards to that match?
Yeah, I think in DR Congo's case, it's a case of getting stronger as the tournament progresses. But, pretty much too little, too late, because if they could have done this or given such a performance earlier, maybe we could be talking about them getting into the round of 16. But also on the Zimbabwe side, it's a tale of not being as clinical as you expected. When you create so many chances, especially even when they played against Egypt in the opening match, they had a couple of chances, and then they play against Uganda, they create all these chances, but not being as clinical as they deserve to be at such a big stage. Then that's what happens at the end.
And obviously, most have credited maybe Zimbabwe's loss, besides the bad goalkeeping, as you said. But the goalkeeper is not that young. That's the issue here. And contributing to 3 goals out of the 4 goals scored, that is quite disappointing for the team. And obviously, most people have talked about after Zimbabwe went 2-0 down during the first half, even the second half by the 60th minute, you realize that some characters, like let's say Musona and, Kama Billiard, they made the game about individual brilliance instead of, a team effort. Do you think that contributed to maybe the result of that match, which was 4-0?
Yes, sometimes when it comes down to individual brilliance, you can credit the player for saying, the coach's tactic is not working so far, so let me use my gift and my talent to try and save the team. Which it works sometimes, and you have players who have that magical touch, who can turn the game around at any moment. You have the Messis of this world and such, out of nothing they create something and turn the game around for you. But most of the time it really doesn't work out. And the myth about the goalkeeper being young and resting players, when you have a country that brings to camp about 50 or 60 players, and a country that have millions of people in their population, and you pick 23 out of those, it means they are the best. So any one of you at any point can be called upon to play and play equally good. Regardless, we only have a chance for 11 players, but if we have to rest any one of these, you should be able to play equally well or even better than the guy that's on the pitch, because you're the best of the best. Only 23 of you. So when you bring in the second string or the third string keeper, you bring in a 19-year-old, provided you trusted them enough to put them in the 23-man squad, they should be able to nick it.
Okay. Now, that was the second match of the day. Of course, there's the other match that most football fans were anticipating. I'm talking about host Egypt taking on Uganda. That match ended in a disappointing 2-0 for Uganda, but already sitting in position 2 on 4 points. What went wrong for Uganda, considering they played really good football last night?
First of all, I'll say the crowd. The crowd at the Cairo Stadium was just amazing, and they rallied behind their team. And then you look at the quality of the players, and then look at the likes of Salah in Egypt. There's El Mohammadi, there's El Neni. These are names you can familiarize with, and they know how to take it in their matters into their own hands on the big stage. And it happened yesterday, in that Uganda used a lot of energy, especially in the first 15 minutes. They wanted that early goal, and you could see everyone getting excited. You could see the likes of Luama shooting in very tricky positions. And then Egypt just calmed down, decided to play their game, and they know when to capitalize on mistakes. Look at how Salah did after Uganda missed the Kiambade chance. It went away. Then Egypt had a counter. Salah knows how to hold the ball, and then he was fouled. Then it came an easy chance. One chance, one goal, and that's what happened in that match.
A very impressive free kick, of course, from Salah. And, well, do you think Egypt are going to carry on with that momentum going into the round of 16 at the moment? And obviously them being the host and being the country that has won the most titles in this competition.
I think they will be able to go on with the same momentum, going all the way to the finals and actually being the champions in this competition. I'm not sure. They are not as strong as they were, especially the last 3 times they won the cup 3 times in a row. They don't have the Mohamed Barakats, the Wael Gomas, Amr Frahim, Said Mawad. They don't have all this, and the keeper El Hadari. They don't have that strong of a squad to say to give you the feel that they will be winning the tournament. But definitely they will be carrying on with the same motivation, the same momentum. Now they've gotten through the group stage unbeaten and having played some solid matches, especially against Uganda. I think the momentum, yes, they will have it. I will not bet on them to win the competition.
Of course. And in the other match that we talked about yesterday, another Group B match, we had Burundi losing 2-0 to Guinea, which ultimately means that Guinea will finish at the third position in Group B. What are its chances with the way they've been playing at the moment? Obviously, their best player, that is Keita, has not featured much yesterday because, well, in the other game, you remember all the fouls that he was receiving from the Nigeria side. But going forward, their chances of maybe qualifying?
It all depends with some of the key players' fitness, especially Naby Keita. We saw him in the first match when they drew 2-2. He came in, changed the game. The match against Nigeria, until the time he was drawn from the pitch, they were all over Nigeria. And yesterday, I think the Burundi match was quite a lighter match for the Guineans, because you could see after them going 2-0, they used the players that have not featured much in the competition. And I think that rest might give them an edge, because in tournaments, it doesn't matter whether you finish first or third. So long as you qualify for the next stage, I think you can plan for that stage. And I think that's what maybe Paul Put will be planning with his Guineans, and telling them that, no, look here, we've come from this deep end. Now we've gone to the shallow end. Why don't we get this job done? And I know they can do it. In 2017, they performed well. They reached the quarterfinals.
Okay.
So it shows that this is a side that can nick in results when needed most, because in knockout stages, you don't need many goals.
Okay.
You just need a goal and then shut the defense.
Okay. Now, Mulama, let me mention something about, of course, the key players, Naby Keita, Liverpool's Naby Keita being one of them. But in the event of, because most have speculated that coming into this tournament, he had not recovered from the injury that kept him out of action for Liverpool in the last few games last season. But then again, going forward, do you think over-reliance on Keita is actually going to be Guinea's downfall? Because, for example, yesterday, some would argue that they had an easier match, considering Burundi were 1 man down by the 15th minute. So going forward, do you think the over-reliance on Naby Keita is going to be their downfall?
It probably would, unless they change tact. It's not advisable in any team setting to over-rely on one player. You can have your moments that this player will get us out of this in moments like set pieces, what Mohamed Salah did for Egypt. But as a coach, as a team, you're always advised to build a well-rounded team so that any one of you can change the game for you. You saw Egypt yesterday, the second goal, whoever scored for Egypt was not a forward. It was not your typical midfielder. It was a defender. Just get in the right place at the right time and be able to get a result for us. So over-reliance on Keita, yes, it will, unless they change the tact and they change the mindset and start thinking about life after Keita, especially going into the knockout stages. It could hinder them, but if they change the mindset and change the way they approach matches and the tactic and strategy, I don't think it would.
And now, when you look at the groups, that was Group A and Group B. Coming into tonight's matches, we have the last Group C matches and Group D matches. Considering Kenya in Group C and at the moment to sit third on the log, that is on 3 points, a level on points with second-placed Senegal, which we are going to be taking on. And, of course, they are the top-rated team in Africa on the FIFA rankings. So what do you think about that match going forward into tonight and in regards to moving forward? I want an honest opinion.
I was having the same discussion coming to the show today, and I said, at the risk of being the infamous, former Harambee Stars player, I think we stand no chance against Senegal. At the risk of making everyone angry, including Gregory Mulemi, who has a lot of friends in the national team, I do not see us stand any chance against Senegal. The way they line up, the way their midfield is set, the way they attack, the way they defend, the energy that they have, and the athleticism that I see in the players, I don't see how we can set up our team to do a good job attacking and at the same time defending against Senegal, considering that we need to score and at least avoid being scored.
Okay, so even after an impressive performance, a resilient performance from Kenya against Tanzania 3-2, do you not have trust in, let's say, the match change squad that took part in that match?
Based on what we have, the quality that we have, you know, you look at Kenya, how they played against who? Against Tanzania. It's the same Kenya, a little bit different players, but the same Kenya, the same tactician, the same players, been in camp for 19 days before this. Everyone knows their roles and, you know, and their duties on the field. It's the same Kenya when we are pitted against a team like Algeria. We complain of how fast those passes were, how fast these guys think, how quick their mind is more than even their feet. You know, so I cannot put Tanzania and Senegal at the same level and then judge Kenya based on Tanzania's performance, you know? So we want to judge Kenya based on top teams in Africa like Algeria, like Senegal, that has players that think and run and make those decisions at the same time, and for the most part, those are good decisions. Based on that, I give Kenya no chance at all. And I still love Kenya and Harambee Stars. Don't get me wrong. We should not get it twisted.
No. Okay, well, Greg, obviously, Mulema is speaking out of fear, kind of, because he mentioned that these players have faster feet than, you know, how they think, really. But is that the perception we have about Algeria?
They have a quicker mind than their feet.
We had an upset yesterday. Who would have thought Madagascar would have beat Nigeria?
They beat
But
Senegal.
look at their players.
They
beat Senegal.
Yeah.
But also look at the quality of their players. Their players do not fear. You know, they have players who can dribble the ball. They can hold on to the ball. They can call fouls. You know, if I hold on to the ball, I'm calling in a foul from a defender. Get yourself in that position where the referee can very easily give you an advantage. We don't have players that can do that. Or we have them, but they're not brave enough at this big stage to do it.
Okay, Greg, I need something different from what you said.
To be honest, you look at the Kenyan record versus Senegal. It's bad. We've never scored against them. 1992, Jules Bokande killed us. They literally. Yeah, in 2004, Diouf and Henry Camara did the damage. Yeah. Right now, we are meeting a Senegal team inspired by the return of Sadio Mane, who unfortunately did not get on the score sheet versus Algeria, probably because of poor officiating. Tonight, I know he's facing an opponent that in Kenya, who really started the matches badly. Look at the way you conceded versus Algeria. We just, off the blocks, we are just poor. And it's something that I think Coach Minye should address coming into this match, because I know this Senegal side can really pull off the roof if they are given time to maneuver behind the defense. But the only hope I can carry going into this into tonight's match is that Senegal, the centre-back pairing, is not there. The Koulibaly and Sane are injured and might not feature tonight. So you'd see the likes of Cheko Koyate or Idrissa Gueye playing in defense, and that should give Kenya hope of at least nicking in a goal or maybe getting a chance or two. That's the only hope I can always say that will drive us going into this match. But then you look at the solidity of the Senegalese team. We can say that they are quite a bar high, and we are just trying to catch up. You look at our performance versus Tanzania was one of the performance I can say it was a comedy of errors from both sides, because you look at the goals we conceded, two very funny goals, and then you look at the goals Tanzania conceded. It means that these are two teams who are at the same level trying to outwit each other, and Kenya just came on top because of some lack of concentration. I don't think Senegal will give us those chances, but then we can score.
Okay, and in the last match against Tanzania, of course, we've had criticism going the way of St. George's goalkeeper. I'm talking about none other than Matasi. But do you think the criticism is well-based, if you're being honest, considering the manner in which Kenya conceded those goals, be it in the first match or in the second match? Do you think it is valid? It
is valid, because Kenyans also have a right of reply. You look at them. Look at the goal he conceded against DR Congo in the build-up to the AFCON. Look at the goal he conceded in their last group match against Ghana. Look at the goal he conceded, the second goal versus Tanzania. The first goal versus Tanzania, I can say maybe he tried his best to parry the ball away, but Abud's reaction towards Msuva was not really good. Versus Algeria, he was shouting a lot. And you know, someone told me that when you shout a lot on the pitch, it means that you are trying to release some tension.
Does that mean that he was trying to release some tension, or does it mean that his backline was letting him down?
For me, I'll support Matasi. You know, the first goal, especially we're talking about the Tanzanian match, and where a lot of criticism here has gone towards his way. You know, look at the first goal. This is a player who plays in Belgium, Mbwana Samata. He's been trained well. And if you're trained well, you're told when you go to the right side and you're facing the goalie, ball should go to the left side. He did exactly that. The only option Matasi had was to parry the ball away because he was stretched at full length. When he does that, you expect your defenders to, number one, to anticipate. If this ball comes off my goalkeeper, where should it be landing and where should I be standing? So the reaction of our players and anticipation, not very good. The second goal, I looked at it keenly and critically, and I think that ball, when it came from the byline, it took a very funny bounce. So when Matasi makes his calculations to get to this ball, it bounced and came back towards where the ball was coming from. And I don't think a lot of people saw that. So if guys have a chance to have a look at that again, you'll see he made the right movement, but then the ball made a very different, a very funny bounce, and bounced back just the way Uganda played, and the ball was almost crossing the line, and it came back to the field. That's the same kind of bounce that the ball took, and it and contributed to the goal. So, to me, he's not had a very good tournament, but basing all the blame and directing the blame for the match, for the goals against Tanzania towards that only one guy who is Matasi, I think it's very unfair, because even when we played against Tanzania, you cannot say we looked organized. We could get the fans standing up and everyone clapping and shouting and cheering the team, but we were not organized. If you sit here today and I asked you, what is our strength when we are attacking? Are we strong from the wing? Are we strong going through the center? Are we strong on counter-attack? You cannot tell we are not as organized as we're supposed to be at the top level. So let's not blame it on Matasi, but let's blame it, a lot of factors, from all the way down from how do we develop our players, how do we identify these talents, and how do we coach them and train them to embrace and to handle themselves at the big stage. That's where we should also always be looking at, but not blaming it only on Matasi, who's had a bad bounce on the ball, who's had bad reaction from his defenders, poor positioning, poor decision making, a guy tackle. You're told as a defender, always stay on your feet. You're in the box, in the penalty box, and you want to go down and win the ball. It doesn't happen, man. At the highest level, you don't do that unless you're very certain.
But then if we also look at our squad, I think some of the players are not playing in their natural positions, and it's something that I can call it a cancer in our sport.
It's not a Matasi problem.
It's not a Matasi problem anymore. Look at versus Tanzania. We line up the defensive pairing. Musa and Okumu played well at the heart of the defense. But then you look at the flanks, it's like everyone was confused. Aboud has butterflies all over. It takes 20 minutes to settle into the match. But then on the right side, before we came on air, I was talking to Mulama. I was telling him in 2017, when Stanley Okumbi was the coach of the national team, I literally asked him, in Kenya, I think we have like four professional leagues, semi-professional leagues, starting from the KPL to the NSL all the way to the Division 1. But then we've never found a right back. It's something that everyone should be questioning. You can't tell me that of all those 2,000 players officially registered by the Football Kenya Federation, we don't have a right back. I happen to watch a lot of NSL and KPL, but there are better right backs here, but maybe because they don't know who is who there. They're not getting that chance, and it's a problem.
What you mean is it comes down to the selection and the criteria used for the selection?
We've used Atudo. Atudo is a centre-back. We've used Situma. Situma is a centre-back. We've used Musa at right-back. He's a centre-back. Right now we are using Calabar, a centre-back. Today we might use either Bernard Oginga at right back, or we might use Musa Mohamed. We take him on the right, and then make Joash Onyango pair Okumu or something. You see, it's already a dead wing, and that's a problem. And you know who's attacking from the right, from the left? it's Sadio Mane. So
Sadio Mane, Keita Balde on the left side.
Okay, we're going to come back with that. Of course, more to talk about AFCON, specifically tonight's match, Group C matches, Kenya versus Senegal. And of course, you have Algeria taking on Tanzania, who are actually, well, are the last in Group C at the moment, with no chance, none, of qualifying for the next round. But now on to a story in Mombasa, where reporter Junaid Karisa is on standby, where the Mombasa County Commissioner has launched a massive birth certificate program that is aimed at relieving a 5,000 deadlock that has been there for 3 months. The government will issue the certificate in 1 week's time, and obviously it is free to the residents of Mombasa. Junaid Karisa with that report.
Wa kupeana huduma bora ya vyeti vya kusaliwa. We are here to launch the 30 days issuance of birth certificates, rapid results initiative for the next 30 days. Tutakuwa tukipeana birth certificate. Tulikuwa na shida kidogo, hatukuwa na vitabu za ambazo ndio certificates, lakini sasa tumepata vitabu vya kutosha na tunatarajia vingine. Kwa hivyo tumeongeza muda huu ndani ya siku 30 zijazo, tumeongeza staff katika ofisi za births and deaths, ambayo ofisi moja ofisi kubwa iko hapa Bima Towers na ingine iko Changamwe. Tunauliza wazazi wakuje kuchukua zile birth certificates zao, wale wali apply kabla ya tarehe 30 mwezi wa 5. Those who applied for birth certificate before 30th of May, your certificates are ready. Come and collect them. Apart from kupeana zile ambazo zilikuwa hatujapeana birth certificate, pia tutakuwa tunapokea new applications. Kumaanisha kwamba kila atakayekuja, kila mtoto akizaliwa akiomba birth certificate, apply birth certificate, atapata birth certificate kwa njia ya haraka. In the next 30 days tutakuwa tunafungua ofisi saa 1:30 na kufunga saa 12 in Bima Towers na Changamwe. Tunataka kufanya kazi kushirikiana na machifu, manaibu ya machifu, SCCs, DCCs, ofisi ya births and deaths, ofisi ya registration of persons na the media kwa jumla, ya kuhamasisha umma ya kwamba wazazi wote waweze kufika kwa vituo vile vya registration of births and deaths waweze kupata birth certificate zao. So kwa hivyo tuko tayari, tumeongeza staff kwa hizo ofisi na tutafanya hiyo kazi in the next 30 days. In the next 30 days, all birth certificates will be issued free of charge. Free of charge. So we intend to clear, by this Friday, we intend to clear the backlog of 5,000. At least the 3,000 that was their backlog, the certificates are ready and they are ready for issuance. And then from there on, any new applications will be processed. What we are saying, once you apply for birth certificate in Mombasa County, you are supposed to get your certificate in the next 3 days. Within 3 days, you must have your certificate upon application. That is our standard procedure. Yes. Yeah? Within 30 days, we are projecting to issue 10,000 certificates or more. We are working very closely with the Ministry of Education. Na tunataka kusema kwamba mtoto wote asifukuzwe kwa shule ati kwa sababu hana birth certificate. Birth certificate zinaendelea kupeanwa na hatutaki kusikia mwanafunzi amefukuzwa kwa shule. Ikibidi tutaweza kwenda mpaka kwa hizo mashule pia tuweze kupeana birth certificate huko. Lakini kwa sasa hatuna shida yoyote kwa sababu birth certificate ziko na tutazipeana. lakini tutafanya kazi na Ministry of Education kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtoto ambaye anahitaji kupata birth certificate, kila mtoto amepata birth certificate yake.
Pengine delay ilikuwa ni system ama ilikuwa ni upande gani?
Delay ilikuwa ni printing of the certificates themselves. But now it has been sorted out.
Yeah, well, you can expect more details on that. A more comprehensive report will be coming your way in our subsequent bulletins. I'm talking about the 1 p.m. bulletins and, well, later on. Well, we were talking about the Africa Cup of Nations. That story quite threw me off, but let's get back to talking about AFCON. Obviously, you two have expressed the hope or the lack of hope there, of Harambee Stars beating Senegal. But what are our hopes? What are our chances of actually qualifying for the round of 16?
I think it also depends on the other matches that will be played today. I'm focusing on the Morocco versus South Africa game that will be played at 7 p.m. It's a game that if the result favors Morocco, then we have a chance, because you look at the permutations right now. Kenya is number 4 in the pairings, in the teams that might qualify as the best losers, the best number 3s. Let me use that.
Finishes, yeah.
The best number 3s. Looking at the previous performances, but I believe that Morocco will not try and repeat the same mistakes Nigeria did versus Madagascar. They'll want to top that group, because they know that if they top the group, they'll meet a weaker opponent in the round of 16. South Africa have been underwhelming in this tournament. They lost to a very poor Ivory Coast side that I can't say they have not turned up to this tournament. They've been poor. They beat Namibia by a single goal, and I believe that facing a Morocco side that has the likes of ZH, it's a game that might turn against them if they're not careful. And I believe this is where Kenya will be really focusing on before they take on Senegal later on tonight. Yeah.
Well, and then again we have Namibia versus Ivory Coast. This might be Namibia's chance, Ivory Coast's chance of maybe booking their round of 16 spot. What do you think that match will play out like, considering Namibia are the last in that group with 0 points out of the 2 matches?
They haven't won a match. Almost the same thing about DR Congo's situation yesterday. But, they look at the group and see the second place team has 3 points and the third place team has 3 points. They might as well try to get some points 3 points in, and see if they can land in that slot, in that pot where we have the best third-placed teams in the competition. So I think they have everything to fight for and nothing to lose in this match. Namibia, they're playing against an Ivory Coast side that everyone has said doesn't look as promising or as strong as everyone could have thought. They've lost out on a lot of the players that gave them that identity. We're talking about the Toures and Giovannis and all that, Bonis. So we'll wait and see. It's an interesting match, very interesting match, Ivory Coast and Namibia. Anything can happen. Namibia is very hopeful. I'm just looking at the table and saying Namibia can try pull a result. Some teams get stronger as the tournament progresses. Some teams get the motivation when they look at the possibilities ahead. So we just have to wait and see, but it's a very interesting match, definitely.
Okay, now we'll be talking about the other groups and all the other last group matches in all the other 3 remaining groups. But first, maybe we can have a preview, or rather we can have highlights of the matches that happened. And obviously my colleague Daniel Wahome is in Cairo, Egypt, and he has something prepared for us. It is.
Football, it's fantastic stuff, and how about that? Opportunities, and I'm afraid that that's not good enough. Fine football to be played. Mo Salah tees up the free kick. Oh, Mo Salah scored! How about that for a free kick? Into the corner it goes. Onyango just gets his fingers to it, but he can't keep it out. Basel, ball comes out. There's a great opportunity. Uganda with a shot. Oh, that was going to probably go towards the right post there from Lamada. But El Shenoui just has, but the ball comes out. Good opportunity. Ashraf! Oh, Mo Salah's there. There's a chance for Al-Mohammadi! Goal number 2! And it's the captain who scores his second goal. The Aston Villa man with a low strike from way out wide. And away from the goal. A long strike, a beautiful strike. And El-Mohammadi makes it 2-0 for Egypt. Again, Uganda feel as though they've been shortchanged in this match.
I think we have the motivation, the determination. It's sure. If you don't have now, it will be terrible. But after all, to transform that positively. We know it will be difficult, but it's a privilege for us to be there, to be able to compete against this kind of team. And I already told you, but we have nothing to lose.
Everything is possible, which we believe it's possible, and we are excited also.
We have to beat Kenya in order to stay here, so that on Monday we can train, on Tuesday we can train, on Wednesday we can train. For us, it's a miss, it's a must.
A lot of people have been asking, what is this black vest that Harambee Stars players put on during training? Well, to find out about what it is and how it functions, we speak to Michael Igendia, who is the fitness coach of the Harambee Stars.
Okay, so basically we have 3 parts to it. We have the vest, we have the heart rate belt, and we have the GPS pod. So very simply put, the GPS pod, we can measure the external load, the distance the player has covered during the session, number of sprints, impacts. There are actually 13 different metrics we get from the 2. We have the heart rate belt as well, which now we can use to measure the internal load. So basically when we're able to get the heart rate of the player throughout the session, we're able to understand how the player's cardiovascular system is coping with the external load placed on the player during the session. So this basically tells us what's happening inside the body, and this measures what the player is doing, the distance he's covering, and so on. So those 2 go in the vest, this under the shirt. The player puts it on around his waist, it comes right there. We can demonstrate, we open it, we put it on, it comes under the shirt right there, and then the pod, there is a pocket at the back, we slip it in. Once it's on, and the player puts the vest on, wears it, and the pod is on the back. He has his own pod. As you can see behind me, they're all lined up with the initials of the players and the number. So the players, of course, initially it was necessary to hand them out and to explain how they wear it, but now they know they come in, everyone takes their own vest, which has the heart rate belt in it, they put it on. I make sure that before the session starts that they're turned on, and then basically we have an option to monitor the data live. So I can have my iPad, I can turn it on, and I can see throughout the whole session live what's the distance that each player has covered, how many sprints have they done, what's their total load for that session. 13 different metrics I can look at. I can choose which ones I want. If I want to compare players, I have that option. So basically that data, I can look at it live, but in most instances, because it's a lot of data, we look at it post-training. So once the session is over, collect the devices, go to my room, sync the data, Now I can access it from my laptop or from my iPad, and I look at the data. We talk with the coach, what do we want to focus on for the day? Maybe we want to look at the sprint distance per minute that the players have covered during a specific part of the training session. Maybe it's the total distance they've covered. Basically, we can look at the load, the training load for that specific day, for a specific drill. Of course, to be able to have a comparison, we try to always use game values. We tell the players to wear the device during a match, and of course when they wear it during the match, we get specific values for each specific player for a match. Of course, the more matches you're collecting, you can get an average, the more reliable the data becomes now, because now one match might be, exceptionally high values, maybe one match low, depending on the opponent, but the more you get the match values, of course, the more accurate your data starts to be. You can edit the data and you can adjust the values for each player in the software, and so once you have the game values, then of course it's really a valuable tool for us in the training sessions. We can see how each player is comparing to those game values during each specific training session. And of course, from Monday to Friday, as we approach the game, we have certain goals that we set for each player and for the team in terms of the loading. And so we're able to see if we manage to hit the loads that we've pre-planned for the team and for individuals. And then, of course, if we need to adjust, we can adjust as well. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have two players playing the same position on the pitch, and one player comes to you and is maybe not so happy about either the game time he gets or feels like he deserves more, but he doesn't maybe get the chance to show that. And that's not now for this team, but during the years I've been using the equipment. You sit down with the player and you say, okay, here is your numbers, here is the numbers for the other player in your position, and you can compare two players for all the different metrics. And so the player sees that, this player consistently covers more ground, they perform more high intensity actions, their speed is better. You can show them the heart rate data, you can see that they recover better in between the actions. And so this player, when he consistently sees that this other player is outperforming him, it's much easier to tell them now that, hey, when you get your fitness up to the level of this player, when you cover the same distance, when you perform the same number of high intensity actions during the drill as this, maybe then you'll have something more to back yourself up, and we can say that, okay, we give you a chance, but as long as your numbers continue being lower than this other person and your performance possibly is the same, of course we'll choose the player who's able to work more during that time at a higher intensity.
At the end of the day, it's not about how popular a player is, but how fit and how well conditioned a player is. That is what Michael Igendia says to us when he speaks about this player monitoring device. It keeps your speed, it keeps your pressure, it keeps your heart rate. So, if you're at the highest level of performance, make friends with somebody who can use this to help you improve as a football player. I am Daniel Wahome, reporting for Sports Check in Cairo, Egypt.